You can do better, runner. Therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him who endures such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls. Hebrews 12, verses 1 through to 3. Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. And yes, after a week's break, here we are together again. I must say I'm very happy to be back as we continue to explore scriptures and help each other to be better, stronger, more effective Christians. Today, I am revisiting one of my favorite scriptures and one of my favorite sporting activity, track and field. I want us to take a deeper look at this business of us Christians running in the greatest race ever. Track and field is exciting, my friends, and for those of you who are great fans like myself, you will know of the growing buzz as athletes all over the world can hardly wait for the World Athletics Championships to be held in Tokyo this coming September. But let me start with a fresh revelation. In the text we started off with, I came face to face with something that I've missed all this time. This race that we are in involved Jesus, but not in the way I used to think. Let's look at verses 2 and 3 again. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls. Rewind to verse 1. There we learn of an arena full of witnesses who are not just watching us run, but they are cheering us on. Within that same verse, we find two huge and important instructions. Firstly, we are instructed to get rid of the excess weight of things that we are carrying around as runners. This includes such things as anxiety, laziness, going through the motion syndrome, lack of faith, sins. Rid yourselves of the things that hinder you as a Christian runner. Many of us are good at picking up things that may look attractive, but sooner or later we learn that these things only tend to contradict the activity that we are engaged in. You cannot run with burdens. You cannot run with excess weight. You cannot run well while carrying a bag full of sinful habits. Get rid of those things today, now. I have a few of those things in my life that hinder me too. I have some load shedding to do as well. How many of us are worried by political and economic issues in today's world? And I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned, but for many of us, we are obsessed with the politics and the economy that our faith has practically become a forgotten feature in our lives. So that is our first instruction. The second instruction we're given by the coach is that we must run the race with perseverance. When the Tokyo Games come around, I'm going to invite you to watch the following long distance races that both men and women will be participating in. The 5,000 meters for men and for women, 10,000 meters for men, for women, the marathon for men and for women, the 3,000 meters steeplechase. Watch carefully how they run, following what the Bible has been teaching us for centuries to do. Never run a long distance race at the pace of a sprint event. Usually by the time they are nearing the end, there is a significant gap between a group of front runners and then the rest of the field straddling behind, stretching out like a flock of ducks. As Christians, we're not supposed to burn out because we started off as if this life is a sprint. No, sir. No, madam. It is a race of endurance. It says so in the text. A race that there are times when you feel discouraged. A race that brings you to a place where you ask yourself, is it worth it? I can tell you, being a Christian is so worth every moment of this race. Those moments of severe exhaustion, those moments when your spiritual muscles feel like you can't go further, still you have to carry on. Sometimes we take a break to refresh our spirits, but soon after we must get back in the race. Now we come to verses 2 and 3. Because as I said before, I never saw this point that I'm about to share with you. Verse 2 says that we should look to Jesus, who is the author and finisher of our faith. Catch this. Jesus ran a race too. Yes, he started the race when he came to earth, and he finished his race when he died and rose again. And now he is seated in heaven, exalted, making intercession for us. What does that mean? Jesus is cheering us on. Jesus is telling us that when he was here on earth, he ran a grueling race too. That's what verse 3 says. Jesus endured great oppositions from sinners. He put up with the opposition from the Pharisees and those who could not embrace him as a promised Messiah. During those times, Jesus was running his race, my friend, knowing well that it was heading towards a cruel cross, death by crucifixion. When we meet him in Gethsemane, he was praying, Father, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. It was as if he was contemplating dropping out of the race. It was too tough. That's a cry from a runner who is dealing with fatigue and difficult challenges. Jesus could have abandoned the race, but Jesus knew his mission, and so early in his ministry, he had told his disciples, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. John 4 and verse 34. He was determined to finish the race that he was in. No thought of quitting. Now we see this champion, Jesus, asking his Father to take away the bitter cup. But listen to courage. Listen to determination. Yet not what I will, but what you will. Mark 14 verse 36. Jesus stayed in the race, my friend. Stayed in the race to the end. And today, we are the beneficiaries of that choice he made. We are grateful that Jesus ran his race to the end, won the victory over Satan, and brought us salvation and eternal life. So today, I'm making an appeal to you and to myself. You're in this race as a child of God. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't get discouraged and don't let fatigue take over. Jesus finished his race, and he who is our model runner wants us to finish the race as well. You know you can do better. Let your faith be the best thing to keep you in this race. The clouds of witnesses are watching and cheering, and Jesus also is watching us and encouraging us. Run, Christian, run. You can do better. Looking always to Jesus, our example, our model runner, the one who is there to give us the strength we need to succeed. You can do better, runner. Yes, you can.